surprise you, How you guys doing?
Oops, that's loud.
Put me on the payroll.
That was loud. Sorry about that. Good. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our city council meeting. Today is Tuesday, July 18th. It is 4:33 p.m. Welcome, everyone. We will have the record reflect that we do have a quorum, and I call this meeting to order. We will move on to our invocation and pledge of allegiance. At this time, I would like to ask everyone to welcome our guest. He's going to lead us in the pledge of allegiance after the invocation. So we have Matthew David Garza with us. You can step up. And then we have with our Border Patrol chaplain, we have Ismael Smiley Hernandez to lead us in the invocation. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Again, I'm Ismael Smiley Hernandez, a citizen of Alice and a chaplain for the United States Border Patrol out of the Corpus Christi Station. It is an honor to be here with such amazing people to this wonderful city. If you could please bow your heads and join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your mercy and your grace. We are especially grateful for the gift of your Son, Jesus. We ask for your blessings on the people who have been called to lead the community in which we live, work, and play. Father, we ask that you guide them as leaders to make decisions in which will benefit our great city in a way that is pleasing to you. Lord, remind us that no matter where we live, we are all neighbors. We ask that you show us a path that leads to respect and love to everyone around us. As we meet today as citizens and leaders of our community, enable us to have an open mind so we may speak and listen so that we could be fruitful and achieve great results through your guidance. We also pray for your servants, for all who serve to create a strong and healthy community, for those who maintain our city, for those who protect and teach our community, and for those who help heal our citizens. May you be with them. And finally, Father, renew us with the strength of your presence and the joy of coming together to build a beautiful Alice, Texas, as we trust and obey in you. Forgive us for whom we fall short. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. You'll lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge
I pledge allegiance
to
the flag
of the United
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's okay. Thank you, man. Good job. Good job. Good job. Nice shirt. Like your shirt.
Good job.
Great job, big man.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Do y'all want to come take a picture?
Sure. You come up here.
Oh, okay.
Should let him sit there.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sit down here. Sit down. You're the mayor. Put your hands like this. Yeah, put your hands like this. There you go.
There we go.
Put your hands like this. There you go.
That's the mayor. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to do one like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Very nice.
Thank you.
Good job. I know.
Thank you to his parents and his grandma.
Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Then we'll move on to public comments. And let me see. We do have someone that wishes to speak before our council. We have Ms. Nicole Ortega. You did Ortegon. I apologize. I'm so sorry.
It gets butchered all the time.
I didn't even.
Sometimes
like
I do
auto-
Ortegon so that they can spell it.
I did that on auto.
So if it's
Welcome.
okay,
Yes.
I have Mark with us, our marketing and recruitment coordinator. May he pass out some material for
Sure.
you?
Yes,
Okay.
they're to our city clerk. Oh,
So I'm Nicole Ortegon. I'm from Kingsville, so
We're not gonna forget now.
Okay, I know, you're fine. I'm from Kingsville, so do you want my address and all the things?
Yes.
Okay, so 203 South 10th Street's the office, 1706 Santa Cecilia is my personal. And I'm not here to comment on anything on the agenda, I just wanted to talk a little bit about CASA and what we do. Court-appointed special advocates is the program that I represent today, and we're a nonprofit who recruits and trains community volunteers to speak up on behalf of children and families who are involved in the child welfare system. We are in dire need of assistance with recruitment of volunteers to help support children and families that are involved in CPS. I pulled a couple of statistics for you today. In 2022, there were 116 children in DFPS custody in Jim Wells County. Out of those children, we were able, at this current time, we're serving 26 kids in Alice, in Jim Wells County. And the problem with that is that out of those kids, 7 of them don't have a CASA at all. Our staff is having to cover because these cases are so difficult that the judge has requested or CPS has requested our be a part of it to help support the family, but we don't have volunteers to serve. So our staff is having to cover, which puts a lot of strain on our resources. So I've come today and humbly ask for assistance from City Council to recruit more volunteers. We would love to be able to provide more presentations to any groups or organizations that you're a part of. We would love the opportunity to be able to set up booths at community events. Any way that I can extend the word and reach of our program and the need for our kids. And as I mentioned before, out of all the service county or area that I serve, it's five counties. That's including Duval County and Brooks County, which are our neighbors, and Clayburgh County. We're serving 52 children out of the CASA office without volunteers. And there are hundreds of other kids who are not being served at all. So please consider supporting Brush Country CASA with your upcoming events or allowing me to give presentation. We would love to do so. My business card is in all of the documentation that you've received, and I'd be happy to talk to you one-on-one on what we can do to reach more folks here in Alice. So, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I don't see any other citizen comments or wishing to appear before council. So we'll move on to public comments in reference to our city council members. Mr. Beltran?
I have none, Mayor. I have
Mr.
none, Mayor. Thank you.
Mrs. Bowen?
No, I'd just like to thank the volunteers that have been going out to our Alice Food Pantry, the Alice Volunteer Services. They still are in dire need of people volunteering to help them on Wednesdays, and I know the city's helped a few times too, and they're so appreciative of all that, so just wanted to get that out there. If you want to volunteer and help on Wednesdays, or even Tuesdays when they offload trucks and stuff, you can get a hold of Bonnie Whitley at the Alice Volunteer Services. Thank you.
Mr. Garza? I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all right.
Oh,
Oh, everybody's getting an alarm. Uh-oh, it's time for me to speak. No, I'm joking. No, I'll keep it simple. Ladies and gentlemen, for the next 10 days, we're going to be having degrees, over 100 degrees. It's quite dangerous out there, so please stay inside, stay hydrated. If you're having trouble with air condition, go to a library, H-E-B, Walmart, something, please. And if you have any, one of the things I've worked on is to be more transparent with the city, and I've got to give our city website a lot of credit. A lot of people don't realize that you can actually, if you have a pothole, if you can take pictures of it, upload it onto the city website. If you're trying to pull a permit or if there's debris or anything, I know our tech team has been working very hard on our website, and I wanted to thank them very much. And the good part about filing a report with the city through the website is it keeps a tracking device with it, so you know exactly how far along it is going. It's one of the treasures that we have that I wish more people would be able to utilize. And I'd like to make an open challenge. One of the things that we'd like to do is we'd like to keep our constituents informed and educated with what's going on. And I would like to kind of challenge our local newspaper to start showing up to our council meetings and start covering them a little bit more. But that's about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I don't have anything but just to thank everyone, because there's so many in our community that go out and do volunteer work. We had food distribution, we had different churches assisting people out there. So thank you for all you do out there. You make this community great, and it takes all of us working together. So thank you so much. We will move on to agenda item number 4, city manager/staff reports. 4.1, review and discuss dates and times for budget workshops for the city's revised budget for the fiscal year ending in 2022 to 2023, and the city's proposed budget for the fiscal year ending 2023 to 2024. And 4.2, delivery of the fiscal year 2023 City of Alice proposed budget. I'm sorry, Mr. Esparza.
Mayor and council, if I may, they're still printing this, so finance and myself have been working with this for a while. But if we could move it till the end
Toward
of
the
the
end.
agenda. Yeah, we can
Okay.
go through, and then they should be able to bring them down, but they're still printing at this time.
Okay, do we want to do 4.1, or you want to wait? And just-
You know, if we want to do 4.1, sure, there's some, in front of you have a calendar. And so what we have August, trying to get it all done in August, including adopting the budget. We have till September 15th to get that done on the tax rate and adopt the budget by the end of the year. But in essence, we have to do the budget before we set a tax rate. So September 15th is our deadline. I'd like to get it done by the 31st. So what you have on here is Tuesday, we're looking at Tuesdays in August to have a budget workshop on the first, on August 1st. Another budget workshop and a special city council meeting on August 8th, which will include a budget public hearing. On the 15th is our regular city council meeting. And on the 22nd, to have another special city council meeting to have a budget workshop and also a record vote on the proposed tax rate. And that triggers some reporting, notification guidelines through the newspaper. So that would put us on August 31st to have the special city council meeting for the budget adoption and the tax rate. And so you have those 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 dates in August. And if those work with you guys, then we can work on that and get those scheduled.
Okay. Council, any questions or comments in reference to the proposed budget workshops and special council meetings? Mr. Beltran?
No, everything looks good.
Mr. Molina?
Oh, just what times?
Probably looking at 10 in the morning for these meetings on Tuesday, and maybe, yeah, I mean, we'll be making sure that y'all can make that time. It's just a record vote for the proposed tax rate.
So you want all of them tonight?
Oh,
At 10.
yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
Well, the regular city council meeting on the 15th, we would be looking like at 2 o'clock or something. That's a regular meeting, so probably not having any budget items on that. You know, keep the budget separate to be able to have the full 3 workshops on it.
Sounds good.
Mrs. Bowen?
I have a doctor's appointment on the 8th, but I'll call to move it. I have plenty of time to get it moved. So I'm okay.
Mr. Garza?
What is the projected time on, or how long do you think the budget workshops and all those, basically all the meetings?
Well, depends on you guys. I mean, we've had, 3-hour meetings, 6-hour meetings on budget workshops, and, we're gonna go fund by fund. And so, I mean, we have quite a few funds to go through. So they could, I mean, I don't think we've had one that's been less than 3 or 4 hours.
Will, I'm sorry, will our 15th meeting start at 10 a.m. or regular 4:30?
We're looking at either 2 or 4:30, 2 o'clock or 4:30. Depending on what you guys wanted. So typically on that meeting, Odie would, or Nellie would call in and schedule that with you guys.
Be nice if we had it at 2.
Yeah, I like the,
Michael, on the 8th, you've got your special council meeting and your budget workshop. So you intend to have a meeting and have a budget workshop?
Yeah, the reason that we're having the special council meeting, because that's going to be a budget public hearing, so I'd want to have a special meeting for that. It's a one agenda item for the public hearing, and then it would be, just the rest would be budget workshop. So that would be in the beginning, have that meeting, and it would be over. Same thing on the 22nd, we'll have a special meeting. That's the record vote on the max tax rate that you can have, and you guys have to do that first. And you don't decide on a tax rate until after that date, but after that date, when that record vote is taken, then that triggers the public hearings and the dates that we need to have on the adoption. So that's why that's also considered a special council meeting. So it'd be those 2 agenda items. We're still labeling them as a special city council meeting. And as well as the 31st, adopting the budget and setting the tax rate.
So the public hearing will be 8th and 22nd?
It would be the public hearing will be the 8th and potentially on the 31st
Or 31st?
for a public hearing.
Now, on the 8th, that we're having both the special meeting and the budget workshop. We'll be having the special meeting before or after the workshop?
The special meeting would be at the 10 o'clock time.
Okay.
And then after that, we would just go into the budget workshop.
Now, the reason why I bring that up is it's open to the public, but most of the people are going to be at work at that time. So how would they express their concerns?
And the special meeting is just having the public hearing and opening it up. But you're talking about the budget workshop issue.
The public hearing where I guess anybody can speak about their taxes, that would be yeah, that would be the budget, no, that would be the special council meeting, wouldn't it?
On
the 8th.
on the budget or on the tax rate? So on the 8th, it's a budget public hearing, so just a public hearing for the budget strictly.
Okay.
And on the 31st, it would be.
That one's going to be for the taxes.
That would be for the tax rate.
Oh, okay, got you there.
Councilman Garza, that as you all are having budget hearings, you all can agree to allow comments from the public or questions or whatnot as you all go through it. That's pretty much, it's wide open. It's however you all want to hold it. There's not really a formal pattern for that. So if there were issues, if somebody in the public had a question about the budget, what I would first suggest is that they speak to one of you guys about it so you can raise the issue. But if they felt that you weren't going to be articulate enough or be able to explain what they had, then to check with you guys about which meeting they should show up at, which budget workshop they could show up at to do it. The problem is when you start to do that, you start to have more and more people that might want to come in or might have vested interests in certain parts of the budget. And I think you and I know a few people that would want to come to complain about certain parts, but you can always allow people to come in and talk or present things on their behalf to council. Yes, sir.
So we'll come back to 4.2. No other questions on 4.1 or comments? Okay. Moving on to agenda number 5, presentations. I don't have any presentations. So we can move on to agenda item number 6, consent agenda. All consent agenda items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the governing body so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and voted on separately. 6.1, discuss, consider, and act upon approval of City Council minutes for the June 20th, 2023 City Council meeting. there's no objection to this agenda item being moved out of the consent, I'll entertain a motion.
May I make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second. Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, so motion passes. 7, individual consideration. 7.1, discuss, consider, and act upon an ordinance amending ordinance number 1978 to acknowledge regulatory codes adopted by the state of Texas to wit electrical and repealing ordinance 2056 and ordinance 1583 in their entirety. Mr. Esparza?
Yes, Mayor, part of our housekeeping efforts has been to focus on, and we've been working on this for several months, on updating our electrical code and also clarifying how we're supposed to operate on there. So I have our Director of Codes and Inspections, Patrick Thomas here, and also our Building Inspector and Electrical Inspector, Raul Chapa. And they're going to present a little bit on this, but to give you just a little bit of background, and Patrick may also touch on this. Our electrical electricians are licensed by TDLR, Texas Department of License and Regulations, and in the old days, before, probably prior, Raul will know, but prior to maybe 13 or 14, or sooner, we used to license electricians here at the city. And we had our ordinance talks about all the guidelines that have to license them. But now, since that got moved on, we've ignored that part of the ordinance because the licensing takes part somewhere else. And so this is part of a cleanup procedure that we have to get us, actually just to clarify where we are.
Right, and it's basically just more like a housekeeping type of a deal because we're already doing it the way we're supposed to be doing it according to the state law. TDLR is who regulates electricians now, not cities. And that was pretty standard everywhere, all cities. And I mean, Raul can attest a little bit more. Every city you worked in, you had to go take a test there and get certified by that city to be able to do electrical work in that city. Well, that's not the case anymore. The state kind of took that role through the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. And so in addition to that, when they license somebody, they also license what code that they're following. So even though, for instance, our code, I think is 2011 still, we're not at that code. We're at the code whatever the state tells us because all of our electricians are licensed by the state and are tested to that standard, and we're required to follow what TDLR tells us to. So when he does his inspections, he inspects to the 2020 standard right now. So Raul, you want to add anything to that?
Pretty much covered it. Hello, Mayor and Council. We actually go by the latest code because that's what TDLR, Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, require. So since I've been here 5 years, we've always kept up with the current code to make the city safer. That's pretty much the bottom line. It's all about the residents, keeping them safe.
One thing that we've had that also has gotten us to try to get this, sped this up to get to this point is, somebody comes in and they're gonna do their electrical work, they're licensed through TDLR, they know that they should be working on, right now, 2020 NEC. And there's been a couple of times where there's been pushback where our inspector is saying, well, here's what you have to do according to code, and they're like, well, y'all are on 2011. We're really not. I mean, that ordinance is actually not valid because we are whatever the state is. So it's happened a couple of times, and there's something that, now we can point to, we want to clarify it to point to that we're whatever the state code is. And that way, when somebody's looking it up and we have something to say, yes, you should know this, that you're supposed to be working in accordance with the 2020 code.
So it's pretty much a verbiage cleanup. It's
Yeah.
pretty much what it boils down to. That way I can at least point to something that, to tell these electricians, wait a minute, you're licensed through the state of Texas, here's what, you're supposed to be abiding by.
We had some conference calls with the assistant chief or
The chief electrical inspector for the state.
We had some conference calls with him to make sure that we were doing it correctly, understood it, properly, so that this is where we're at this point.
And so really what we're looking to is amend ordinance 1978 to specifically acknowledge that we are under whatever the state's code is at the time. that's gonna be our code. And then deleting everything underneath there that talks about, the 2011 or us licensing electricians and
Or local ordinances that
And
we
local
used to
ordinances.
have back in the day. We're kind of, deleting that portion of it.
Council, Mr. Beltran, any questions?
So this just brings continuity to everybody, right? So basically what applies here would apply other cities.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
Now, if other cities are licensing electricians like we used to, and they're still doing that, then they wouldn't have to, they could be under whatever guideline they would have.
Right.
But one of the things is we're not licensing electricians anymore. So, yeah.
Mr. Molina?
So what are all these other ordinances that are attached to it?
So there
They have to be there?
There was a series of ordinances, so one ordinance dealt with the licensing, another ordinance dealt with some extra things, so you can have a code, and then you can be a little stricter, right? You can say, well, we have the 2011, but
Right, like amendments or
2011
whatever?
says you gotta
So
have
now it's just
4,
one
maybe
page.
You want 6, you can do that.
Raul, just one page now?
Correct.
That's just
None of that
right
other
now,
stuff.
you go by the
Nice.
minimum standards,
Right,
the latest code, and that's it.
because it's a moving target, right? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Mrs. Mo?
No, thank you for cleaning this up and getting us up to date on these ordinances. Appreciate it.
Mr. Garza?
Like Councilman or Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, it's I guess I would refer to it as a living document that's continuously evolving. For people that don't understand, in the early 1900s, your electrical wire was a single copper wire versus now it's so different. So it's just basically state requirements to make sure that all of our wiring, fuses and everything are safe.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, and I just wanted to ask you, so we're going to keep the other ones the same, it's only the electrical that we're amending,
So-
correct? And
You can-
repealing the old
You can
ordinance?
expect some future
Okay.
agenda items, we're still, so when we update something, it's not just to change it out, or could we, it takes some research, it takes some planning. As you can tell, we had conference calls with with the state. It's a little bit of research, when we come and give you the information, we want to make sure it's informed. And so, that's where we're at with the others. So I would expect that there's going to be some changes
In the
coming up.
future.
Where those are at, we don't know, we're still working through those processes. This is probably one of the bigger, more dangerous ones that we wanted to tackle first, so electricity can be very dangerous, so we want to make sure things are being built safely. So this was the first one we tackled. There's probably going to be more.
How does this impact, or how do we go, like, if our code, we had an ordinance that said 2011, and builders came in and were doing that, or no? Okay.
It's a real
It's
short, is
different.
we have to comply with state law. That as soon as the licensing was taken away from us, we had to comply with state law. It did not matter what was in our ordinance. So our ordinance has been void since they changed state law.
It
What-
over,
What
okay.
Raul has been doing is he's been applying the 2020 rules, or the whatever the state statute, whatever they said it was at the time, since he's been here. And so he's been applying, whether it was 2012, whether it was 2014, whether it was 2016, that's what he's been applying. And so when they've reviewed things, they just want to be certain that they talk to the state to be sure that they are updating it properly, and that the language that they've used in this just allows it to continue to use, specifically say, even though the law says, whatever the state says, that's in charge, not what our ordinance says. And so if they were in conflict, we'd always have to follow the state law.
The state,
And
correct.
so all they're doing today is just saying, you know what, we're gonna make that the Alice ordinance. Instead of it just being floating out there in the ether, whatever the law in the state is, by God, that's what we gotta do.
Or clarify that that's what it is,
We're
because
just
that's what we're in
clarifying.
essence doing.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're legally have to do it, like Darrell said, we have to do that. So we just wanted to make sure that it's on paper, that it's clear that
And this is not on a year-to-year basis, because the code changes every 3 years.
Okay.
They update it every 3 years.
Okay.
But we won't have to do anything to this. It'll just stay.
That's correct. We just.
Because it's
wherever
the
they
verbiage, yeah.
Adopt the next one, we're already.
And I was gonna tell you this 3 years ago.
Just slipped his mind.
Thank you, Raul. I actually went to school with Raul, graduated, good guy. Thank you.
Okay. No other questions or comments, council? If there's no further discussion or comments, I will entertain a motion in reference to agenda item number 7.1.
Mayor, I make a motion to act upon the ordinance amending the ordinance number 1978 to acknowledge regulatory.
right?
I'm sorry, adopted.
Adopting an ordinance amending ordinance number 1978 to acknowledge regulatory codes adopted by the state of Texas to wit electrical and repealing ordinance 2056 and ordinance 1583 in their entirety. If I may, I'm sorry I interrupted
Ditto. So
What he said.
stated.
you. Is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, council.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raul.
Thank you.
7.2, discuss, consider, and act upon authorizing a resolution to approve an offer to purchase tax sale property, suit number 18-06-17220-B, a pasture 714 East 6th Street, Alice, Texas, also known as the north half of lots 3 and 4, block 459, City of Alice, Jim Wells County, Texas, as described in volume 1250, page 466, official records of Jim Wells County, Texas.
And Mayor and Council, this one is carryover from last meeting that our city attorney caught some incorrect language on the title page on here, and so it's brought back with the correct address and city and location. And so this is a property where they're trying to buy it for $14,000. It's a tax sale, and on page 24, it's going to show you the breakdown of what every entity will receive.
Okay. Council, any questions? Mr. Garza?
No, thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Bowen?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Mr.
No, I'm fine, Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Beltran?
No, I'm good. I'm good, yeah.
If there's no questions or further discussion in reference to 7.2, I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion authorizing a resolution to approve an offer to purchase tax sale properties, suit number 1806-17220B, A Pasture, 714 East 6th Street, Alice, Texas, also known as north one half of lots 3 and 4, block 459, City of Alice, Jim Wells County, Texas, as described in volume 1250, page 466. Official records of Jim Wells County, Texas.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, all opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. 7.3, discuss, consider, and act upon authorizing LJA to bid out construction for the Virginia Street Area Drainage Project.
Mayor, I'm going to ask to table this agenda item. We're really not going to be ready until October, November for this. It was put on here inadvertently. Barbara was working on this and asked to put it on, but we weren't ready for this yet.
Okay,
Motion to table.
okay, and I'll go ahead and entertain it. You made a motion.
I'm sorry,
so-
yes. Motion to table.
Okay. We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Motion to table, agenda item 7.3 passes. We'll bring it back at a later date. Okay. 7.4, here discuss and act upon a presentation by the Alice Police Chief Eden Garcia concerning staffing, operations, intergovernmental cooperation, equipment usage, procurement, and crime arrest prosecution data of the Alice Police Department. Welcome, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, our city manager, our city attorney. Thank you for having me here today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. So I just wanted to run some numbers and what we've been doing, and then I'm going to do some comparison because it's important that we share numbers, but then we share what was happening in the past and gives you an idea of what we're doing today and why. So we're talking about property crime. So in our first quarter, we had 12 burglaries, so burglary habitation. So we had 12 burglaries that occurred here in the city of Alice. That was the first quarter. Second quarter, we had 9 burglaries in the city of Alice. So what I did, I went back and I looked at where we're going and where we're heading. So I went back in 2016, I went back to just 7 years, I believe it is. I looked the first quarter of 2016, we had 45 burglaries. In the second quarter of 2016, we had 41, so those were the numbers that you were seeing back then, as compared to what we are seeing today. So even though we decreased, we were trying to get it to 0, but we have seen a great decrease on burglaries of a habitation from 12 to 6, from 45 to 12, and then from 41 to 9. And then burglary of a building, we had 16 in our first quarter, and then in our second quarter, we had 23. I went back to burglary of buildings, and we had the first quarter was 27, and then the second quarter, we had 62. So that's a big difference for us and where we're going. And then burglary of a vehicle. We've had quite a few of those. In our first quarter, we had 23. And then in our second quarter, we had 21. I went back to 2016. And we had 45 our first quarter. And then we had 31 our second quarter. So we've made a big stride in what we're trying to do and trying to achieve. And it has been not for anything that I've done. It's been because of the officers and the work that they've put each and every day into our streets. One of the things I want to make clear is that they had more officers back then. Okay. We're doing it with less.
Nice.
And so that in itself is a great example of the work that the officers have put on the streets. So on Alice Police Department, total arrests, we had in our first quarter, we had 311. We arrested 77 juveniles. So the red is the orange is adults. The green is juveniles. And then in our second quarter, we had 243 arrests, and then we had 56 arrests of juveniles. And that one is right now, I believe, it's start of the third quarter, so we have 181 so far. CID arrests, what we've been doing in our criminal investigation division, our first quarter, we had 29 arrests in our first quarter, and that's warrants that were issued on investigations. And then our second quarter, we had 51. And the Alice Police Department total citations, actually, these are total contacts. So here's something that you're seeing an increase in contacts. And it's not necessarily we're giving citations, okay? We're making contact with people, especially late in the evening, that are violating crimes or they're violating the law. And so we're making contact, making sure, but we're saving the data. It's important that we are able to identify who is out late at night, especially because when we have burglaries, we want to be able to, okay, if there's a burglary on Alto Street and at 3 in the morning we stop this individual, maybe he's a suspect or she's a suspect in that area. So that's why it's important that we gather all the data. That's why it's important that we make contacts. And you've seen a big increase in contacts. Just in June, we had 843 contacts in the first 3 weeks. So we've increased those to try to bring down the numbers as far as our burglary habitations. And if you noticed, the numbers have gone down. And so that's why you're going to see your citation, your contacts go up. It shouldn't be citations, it should be contacts. Those go up for the reason that we are more prevalent, we're being seen more out in our neighborhoods. So that's been really good for us. So we're back to doing our building checks. We are walking downtown, checking buildings. I know Cosa Bea, I'd like to give them a shout out. They posted pictures of the officers. They were checking doors and they thanked us. And so we've been doing those types. We make sure that their doors are locked. And just the little things. We're doing it by on foot. We're walking. Just making sure that our neighborhood, our community is safe, that our buildings are locked. And, sometimes we can't get to everything, but we're going to try. Community outreach, what we've been doing, car seat inspection, collaboration with TxDOT, Driscoll Children's Hospital, Community Action, the Jim Wells County Sheriff's Department, we had car seat inspections. And if your car seat was outdated, if there were issues, we would issue them a free one. And so that was something that we did. It was about 3 weeks ago. We held it here at the old hospital where Community Action is located. Then we had our Citizen on Patrol. We had 10 residents attended the 14-week graduate and graduated. Will be an extension of the patrol division to observe and report. Matter of fact, we have one of our graduates here. And so she's been able to, have you already gone on a drive along or ride along with the officers? So they're actually riding along with the officers to see what's happening. And it brings us out, they're able to come out and be an extra set of eyes for us. Now, they can't make arrests or anything like that, but they can make contact with the people. You know, when they see something, report it, and that's what they've been going through. And I hope you enjoyed your time and your 14 weeks, ma'am. I appreciate you being a part of it. And it's people like you that we need more of, right, out there to be able to showcase and be support of what we're doing. And I thank you for that. And and then we're also doing presentations at the Boys and Girls Club. We've been going by and visiting with them, so that's been pretty cool. Social media involvement to keep the community up to date on services provided and provide transparency. We're trying to show a little bit more of what we're doing. And as you know, school starts, I believe, August the 15th, so we are already preparing. Assist Alice School District with preparing for the school year and work together to create Student Resource Officer Division. We're still in the works on that. However, we have a meeting tomorrow because I already met with the superintendent, but we're planning another meeting with her on the 21st. We'll have a meeting on tomorrow, the 19th, and that meeting is to address the trainings that we're going to be providing for our schools, whether it's going to be CRAZE training for our students, our teachers, our faculty. But most importantly, we also want the parents involved. We want them to know what happens. How do you react? These are some of the things that you're going to face, possibly, if we ever have an active shooter in our school. So we want them to be a part of it. And we're meeting together. It's the Sheriff's Department, myself, Chief Thomas will be there. And what we want to do is, at the end of the year, we're hoping to create a scenario of active shooter involvement in our school. Get the community involved to see what it's like, to see how prepared we are. And I know this is something that has been done in other cities, but we want to prepare for it in case something ever happens like that in our community. And God willing, it never does. But if it does happen, we want to be prepared, know that we have all the resources, that our hospitals are prepared, that our EMS is prepared, our police officers are prepared, our sheriff's department, and on down the line. And so those are some things that are very important for us. So we'll be working on that. So, and then on training, provide crime scene investigation course to officers includes how to process a scene, take proper photographs, and collect evidence. And that's ongoing. We're currently having that training right now. So it's a crime scene training. So when officers respond to calls, it's no longer taking a report, and I've addressed this, but with you members that are new here in the council, so what we do now is when an officer goes out to a call, he should be taking photographs, he should do fingerprinting, learn how to take statements. Those are vital parts of any type of investigation. Sometimes before, you would just hand it over to the Criminal Investigation Division. Now it's that officer's responsibility also to play a part in that investigation. So that's been a very big plus for us. SWAT team continues training. The team continues to train at least once a week on room entry, clearing, lethal and versus non-lethal, and hands-on techniques. We've been called again this week, and I'll have to meet with our city manager. Other agencies are utilizing our entry teams. So because of the work that they do, and really proud of them. They've done a lot of great work. And so we're putting not just them through the trainings, but we're getting all the officers to go through all the same types of trainings that the SWAT team is going through. That way, because what we've learned is that it's not just you're going to have an entry team or a SWAT team going in first. It's always the officer that's on call or that's patrolling. He's the first one on the scene. So he needs to have that same type of training. And so that's what we've been providing for them. So that's been pretty good. New equipment training, such as upcoming spider cuff course. So that's sometimes when you have individuals that are resisting. So now these handcuffs, they stretch out. So once you're able to place them on it, they can't move. But now you can kind of wrench it, bring them back in. So those are pretty cool. They're called spider cuffs. But I'll be able to show those to you. And so since the beginning of the year, 2 officers become certified in crisis intervention, that's hostage negotiation. So we've sent 2, a male and a female, to participate in the hostage negotiation training for Alice Police Department. So that's what we've been doing, and again, thanks to our city manager for always supporting our cause, and he really does, so thank you, sir, for that.
Before you finish, though, I do want to make sure, give him a call out. You guys know we work together all the time, pretty regular. Our officers, my firefighters, his officers, they're together on the street, but we're doing a lot of neat things now where we're training together. We did the leadership class, so not only were there police officers, police leaders in there, but we also had fire leaders in there too. So we're doing a lot of things together. To kind of chime into a little bit more of what he's talking about in the training. A lot of these trainings, it's not just his department, it's his department with the other city departments as well. So I just wanted to make sure he didn't mention that.
I appreciate that, thank you. So we did have a leader, thank you for reminding me. And that was so crucial because, so we brought in a leadership training into our, which was great. It was phenomenal training. It was a 3-day training. We held it at the First Baptist Church. Pastor Riggs allowed us to use, so big shout out to Pastor Riggs. And so he allowed us to use his center. And we had firefighters, we had police department, all in the same room going talking about the leadership and what it takes to be a good leader. And we also had some other agencies, I believe, they're involved with us. So, but what was important for us was seeing Alice PD and the fire department there working together hand in hand going through those trainings. So that was pretty cool. So thank you, Chief.
We've got plenty more that we're working on.
Yes.
Chief,
Yes.
we forgot to mention the,
No, that one, actually, that was a typo.
that was typo?
Yes, sir. That shouldn't have been there. That's an old one.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So I
I
have a new guy I have a new officer doing my PowerPoint, so that one counts.
When you read it again, I really like it. It sounds good.
Credit, yeah.
We get another Tahoe, you know.
We'll get
Another
some.
Tahoe and some other.
I would missed it.
Like you forgot.
Hey, Chief,
Any
No,
other-
thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay,
almost.
Money.
let's see.
Money and Tahoe.
So then, moving to 7.5, presentation discussion from the Alice Fire Chief Patrick Thomas regarding statistics for the second quarter calls for service.
Good afternoon, evening, what time it is, but afternoon or evening, Mayor and Council. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about our general incident statistics throughout the second quarter of the year. I believe you've already got your packets in front of you. And so I'll just I won't go too much into detail on all the reports. It's a lot of numbers on there, but you do have those so you can take those home with you and review them. And of course, obviously, if you ever have any questions about something, you can reach out to myself or the city manager, and we can answer those questions and clarify for you. But I do want to talk a little bit about the very front page of that is just a quick little summary of what we did this last quarter. A lot of the same things, Chief Garcia took some of my thunder with some of the trainings and things that are happening, but it's okay. We're working together to do things, and it's a good thing because at the end of the day, it's what the community needs, right? And so that's what we're doing. We're doing a lot of training together, meeting with the schools. We're preparing for the next school year. We've already begun to meet with the administration. Of course, we have a new superintendent, so there's some additional meetings that are required to kind of get her on board, fill her up, bring her up to speed on how we work together, the things that the fire department and the school district do together as a team, along with the police department and sheriff's department. So we've been conducting those meetings and talking with them, and we've got some more stuff scheduled for this week, where we're talking with I think pretty much what the chief said. We're talking about some drills that we're going to be doing in the future and training. We do have some instructors that are specialized instructors that work on active shooter or it's no longer active shooter, it's active killer now is the new terminology they're telling us, because it's not always a gunshot that's going to be happening. It could be something else. But so active attack is the new phrase. But we do have instructors that take care of that have become certified to teach those classes, and so we'll be in the schools teaching the staff and teaching the administration on how things are going to work. And as the chief alluded to, this year we're hoping to see some involvement with the community and the parents on standard response protocols and reunification methods, and how we're going to reunify those kids with those parents. God forbid something happen at one of our schools. So we're working on that. We've got the normal Stop the Bleed, those types of courses that we're doing as well, and again, supporting our library with their school drive, their book drives. That's what we did this last quarter. And now I'll get into the numbers on the statistics. So first thing that you should notice is the overall number, the very first report. Now, in your package I know we have some new council members, so when I do this, I reference zones and areas of town. In your packet, there should be a map. Did we get them the map?
Yes,
Okay, so there's a map that shows you the different zones that these reports reference to. So, in case you're wondering what does that zone mean? That's an area of town. So we've narrowed it down so that we can tell you on a specific neighborhood what's happening in that neighborhood, how many types of fires, what type of calls. So it kind of helps us with prevention and planning. We can, if we notice that in a certain zone there's a bunch of kitchen fires, well, maybe we need it, or maybe there's no smoke alarms or something not happening. Based on our reports, we can go into that neighborhood and target a specific neighborhood and talk to them about prevention and measures. So. So that's what I just want to bring y'all up to speed on that. So your reports, I break it down into different, this one's going to be a little longer. I know the other council members that have been here for a while, you are used to me coming up and doing a short one, but we've got new council members, so I want to kind of bring them up to speed so we can, so that way they can know. So my presentations aren't always this long. Usually I like to come, give you guys the numbers, go over some highlights, and yeah, John's always timing me on my presentations, but I want to make this one a little bit longer just to catch the new council members up on how we do these presentations. So
And we
the
can
future
always
ones
use
will
a
be
refresher course.
yes, and a refresher for
I'm
you.
gonna step on from you.
Sure. So your first report is basically just an overhead view of the entire department and what we do, response times, its average times, calls that are overlapping, how many times we had multiple calls happening at one time. And keep in mind, this is for a quarter. We do break it down by EMS calls and fire calls. And then we even break it down by station. So you can see which station took longer to get to calls and which ones, their turnout times is how long they took to get in the truck and out of the station before, that's what that time is. So, if you look at, and I'll put this year's and last year's just for comparison. So you can see last year we had a total of 153 calls for this time of the same year, and this year we're at 131. So we're at about 21 calls or 20 calls less than last year, which is a good thing, right? We don't want to have to go to calls. Of course, we're there if we're needed, but the lower the calls, the better it is. That means somebody didn't need help. So the response times as well, they're on there. You can see, and they vary. Sometimes they go up a little bit, sometimes they come down a little bit. But that's a route. That 5-minute time is a route where it usually stays at. So we like to look at those numbers. The next report is basically breaks down, there's 3 different reports. It's the same exact report, just 3 different times. So the fire department is a little unique in the fact that we don't just respond inside the city limits. We respond out in the county as well to certain areas of the county. And so I break down that report. I give you one report that tells you everything, the total responses for the entire department. And then I give you 2 more reports, one that's just inside the city limits, and then one that's just the areas outside of the city limits. So you can see what the breakdown is of the types of fires that we're responding to. And it gives you numbers and percentages on what that does. Move on to the next report. Like I said, there's 3 of them. They're all 3 of those are the same exact report 3 times. County responses. We'll move on to the counts per zone. This is where that map comes into play. The map will tell you the area of town that we're talking about, but this count will tell you based on which area of town how many calls were in that specific neighborhood. So that's what this is, and it's you've got your graph in there, and then it gives you the numbers, the count numbers. So and you'll see some of those higher numbers are typically that high for those areas of town that are more populated areas of town. So those usually stay consistent with that, and that we only break down by city. We don't break that down by county. There are some county zones in there, so you can see if it's a certain area. So, for instance, like Rancho Leyte is one of our primary response areas. It's not in the city, but it does have its own zone, and so those zones are numbered a little differently. It has a JWC before the numbers on it. Then the next report goes into a breakdown of each one of those neighborhoods and the exact type of fire that was in that neighborhood. So just like the overall one had, it is a more zeroed in, targeted report for you guys to look at. And again, that tells you exactly how many car fires, how many house fires, how many cooking fires, what types of fires we had in that specific neighborhood. And then our next report will talk to you a little bit about the incident counts by month. So we don't just always just track, quarters or yearly counts. We're also looking at it monthly to see, which are busier months. And you'll see on this report for this year, it's a downward trend, which is good. Hopefully, it keeps continuing that downward trend because we don't want to have to go to calls. We want to see less calls for us in our case because that means less people needed help. So in the year before, there is a report here for 2022, so you can kind of compare the differences, and you'll see the months. I know like January, we were down a good amount. February came down significantly. March came down. April came down, went up by 1. May came down 20-something calls, and then June so far we're down. We stayed down in June, so that's a good thing. That's a downward trend on the call volume. Hopefully it stays that way, because here in a minute you're going to look at budget and you're going to notice that it's not cheap running a fire department. So the less calls, the better it is for us in the long run. But incident calls by month, we also break it down by month if you wanted to see if there was any correlation with a time of month and the types of calls that are happening. So, for instance, one year we noticed that there was an increase in the amount of cooking fires that we had during June, July. Well, what happens in June, July? There's a lot more kids at home. So we're getting a lot of burnt popcorns in the microwave, burnt ramen noodles, things like that. So what that does for us is it helps us plan out what our fire prevention efforts are going to be, what messages we're going to carry through to the schools the next season, the next year that we're in there talking to the kids. And so, I know that year we developed some programs with our AgriLife Extension agent, our Healthy South Texas agent, Elaine. She helped us plan some healthy snacks and safe snacks that kids could prepare if they're at home alone during the summer, right? So kind of help us curb those cooking fires. So these numbers are all really important. These reports, they all have a place, and so we like to share them with you guys so you guys can see what's happening, what we're responding to, what we're doing. But just know that it's not just a report we give to you guys. It's a report that we take a look at, and that's how I plan and determine what our needs are going to be for the department and where we need to be focusing our efforts. And then the yearly counts, you can see, I usually like to put this in there so you can see, where we're at throughout the whole, this one goes back 15 years, so you can see what the total incident counts were for the years, and notice that there was a downward trend, and then it goes up a little bit towards in 2021, 2022, and then right now we're significantly down. So we're hoping that stays that way. Like I said earlier, we want that to stay that low. But you can kind of time that with some of the other things that were happening in our city too, right? So if you look at 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, it just keeps going down. Well, what was happening during that time, right? That's when oil fields were, we were losing people, and so less people, less calls, and that's what happens. A majority of our calls come from somebody making a mistake on accident, doing something where a fire starts, and so you have less people out and about, less times that something is going to happen, less vehicle accidents, less people in your city, less things are going to happen. So that's you can see that, and then you start seeing it where it starts to trend up. Well, what was happening there? People were starting to come back. People were starting to get out in the streets again, starting to work again. So it's just interesting, right, to see that how that all correlates together, and hopefully it's down. What we're attributing right now, and in my introduction letter, it kind of tells you a little bit about. There's multiple factors that you can consider why we have less calls. Either way, it's a good thing, but right now we're thinking it's the heat. Again, people are what cause a lot of the fires and things the accidents and things that we have to respond to. Well, it's hot out there, and so if people are staying home and not going out and not doing things, there's less opportunities for them to get into a situation where they need the fire department to show up and help. So I guess that's kind of an indirect good thing that happens when it's hot outside, right? And so those are our numbers. So we try to do them every quarter. We'll bring you some numbers, and we're working on being able to give you more information in the future. We've got some new softwares that we've implemented over on our code side. And so we're hoping to be able to give you numbers like this for our code department. It's come a long way. We've started using the new softwares. I think Councilman Garza referenced a portal today. It's still brand new. There's probably some bugs that need to be worked out. That's the reason nobody knows about it, because it's literally brand new. We just put that out. So we're still working through that, trying to get that in the right place on the website, making sure that it's got the right terminology, all that kind of stuff in there. So that's part of the whole new software program that we're working. And the end goal is to be able to make informed decisions and plan things out properly, so we can know how many code officers we need, or are we being effective, what neighborhoods do we need to be targeting, things like that. Just like we're doing with the fire department, we're moving in that direction in the codes department, because we want to make sure that we're being effective, right? You guys fund or help us fund the budget to make sure that we have the right officers and the right equipment. It's our job to make sure that it's being used efficiently. So that's what these softwares allow us to do. So in the future, you can expect that's what we're moving towards, to give you guys, so you guys can make those informed decisions. And that's pretty much what I have right now for you guys. You submitted her first request. Okay, good. Yeah, it's going to be good. It's like I said, there's going to be some bugs we're going to have to work out with it. I know that. But the only way to get good at it is just jump in there and start doing it. So that's where we're at on that software. And it is going to open the doors for us to be able to change the way we do some things. For instance, online applications for permit requests, things like that, where somebody doesn't have to actually physically come into the office to do stuff, which allows our office staff to be able to focus on other things, and then not so much always having to be worried about the counter. Somebody can come online and do it, and not have to physically walk in, make payments online, make lien payments online, all those kind of things. It's just making us more accessible and efficient with our operations downstairs. It's definitely been a challenge for our officers and our staff downstairs. They're learning as they go, but I think at the end of the day that we all have the same goal, is to be able to serve our citizens the best that we can, and so that's what we're doing.
Say, Chief, real quick question.
Sure.
On the internet, all that stuff. I don't remember if I remember hearing it correctly, but you can also put in anonymous, right?
Yes.
Okay. So,
It will still ask you for some information, but that's just for us to be able to contact you back.
gotcha.
Any other questions or comments? No?
I just want to comment real quick. It actually wasn't really a long presentation, to be honest with you. Yeah. Compared to your others, no, just kidding. No, but it was very thorough, and like for us just getting it here and now and kind of reading over it, I really appreciate all you going through. I mean, this is a really nice report. I don't know if
Right.
a lot of people don't see these as we see them, but the way it's presented to us is, very user-friendly. I appreciate it. Obviously, the energy between you and Chief, I got to see Got to see it, right? Got it right. Are is very contagious, and we're fortunate to have the energy that y'all bring to this City Hall. And
I don't know how the city manager feels about our energy. It's usually which one's your favorite chief. Those are the conversations we have, right? But it's always good to work with.
It makes
He puts it my mate back there.
Right. Well, it makes our job a lot easier. Y'all make us really look good, and just the fact that you're being proactive, not just coming up with these just to give something to talk about today, but actually kind of, when you're saying isolating the actual zone and the incidents in there, like you were saying, going out there and giving them kind of a literature, or kind of bringing them up to speed to help mitigate these issues. It's just something that's probably overlooked, but I really appreciate it.
We did, in my cover letter, it kind of talks a little bit about the neighborhood visits that we did. And that was a correlation between the police department, code department, fire department, our parks and rec department, our street department. We all came together and were able to visit specific targeted neighborhoods based on some of the information. Now, our data isn't as good as I would like it to be on the code side. That's why we're moving to the new software, so we can get there. But based off of what we had, we targeted a certain neighborhood to try to get that, to try to target the issues that we were dealing with in that neighborhood. And we're going to continue those every quarter. We're looking at doing some of those. We've got some tire roundups that we're doing. We were able to get secure some grant funding or not really grant funding, it was just some state funding that was available.
You were doing tire roundups as consistent with your quarterly fire reports,
That's
right?
correct, because the code department is under the fire department.
Because we're not talking about
Yeah.
codes, right?
It's all the same department.
We're not violating the agenda, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
So the fire department we had a firefighter on every single one of those teams. and we did home visits with those roundups. And like I said, we're continuing more of those as and anytime that we can find funding to help make those happen. Like for instance, in this one, it was some state funding that came through the Solid Waste Advisory Council through the COG. There was some funding available, so we were able to put our names in the hat to grab that funding, and they allocated that money towards us to be able to make that happen. And I've got my supervisor Ruben in the back. He's a big plays a big role in that. It kind of helps me make sure all that stuff happens. They're the boots on the ground that make all that stuff happen. So it's a good thing, and we're like I said, we're working together with all the different departments.
That's good.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, real quick, Patrick, you know I have to say something, right? No, both you and Chief, then, I appreciate how you work together. I've noticed that y'all are out in the community a lot more, even more, educating our community, both of you, with your team, and that's so important, and I love seeing that unity there. And the report, yes, I agree with Mr. Molina here, but my favorite part is the comparison on both of y'all's report, where you can compare from what you last year to this year, or, that makes a big difference in seeing the progress.
Right.
So I appreciate all that.
And unfortunately, sometimes it shows increases, right? And so we don't want to see that. But the facts are the facts, and numbers are the numbers. So we have to make sure that we're planning to address those and make sure that we're responding correctly to try to curb those numbers.
Good job. Thank you, Mayor.
If I may also, hats off to your gentlemen on their professionalism. I'm one of the last persons up here to have used an EMS services, and they were quick and they were very professional and responsive. Thank you for providing that services to our constituents.
Yes, sir. We try to do our best to serve our citizens. I tell all my staff that, treat everybody like it's your family, right? And the beauty of it is I'm from here, and a lot of times it is my family or somebody I went to school with.
Right.
That's the principle that we kind of instill in all of our staff, and make sure that we always have good rapport with our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 7.6, here status report on June 2023 month-end financial statements, summary of funds, and delivery of June 2023 check registers. Hi.
Council, how are y'all doing tonight?
Good, thank you.
All righty, we'll get started. All right, we'll start on Exhibit A, financials for the 9th month ending June 30th, 2023. Our general fund revenues are $10,743,084 year-to-date. Property tax budget was $2,216,250, and year-to-date, we are showing $2,790,740. Exhibit B, we have our M&O and INS for 2023 of $3,952,503, basically spot on mirror image of prior year. Going back to Exhibit A, we're going to look at sales tax was budgeted at $4,572,000, and we're showing $4,297,285, and that's through April. Just a refresher, 2 months in arrears for that. Exhibit C, we have sales tax budget versus actual, and this one includes the month of May. May's collection was $590,047, $82,000 above target. 2023 budget is $4,064,000, and we have an actual of $4,887,333. So we're $823,333 over budget at this point. Exhibit D, we have our actual 2023 versus actual 2022, and we're $740,081 over previous year-to-date in sales tax. Exhibit E, we have our general fund expenditures. Year-to-date, we have expended $11,246,088. Just some of the other departments that we've spoken to and we've touched on, like Patrick and Chief did, they have some overtime that's a little over budget, but the PD, we should have some of that reimbursed, as well as, and then we have the command center with the sirens, we're working to get reimbursed on that one. And then inspections, part of that the team's trying to clear up a lot of properties around town, so we have seen an uptick there. Exhibit F, we have our revenues versus expenditures for all funds. Our general fund is showing a negative $503,003. Just to give you a note on that one, I know it's a little flip-flop from the previous year, but just keep in mind, in the month of June, we had 3 pay periods. So it'll work itself out, but it does look like this because we've taken it into consideration at the point in time. Solid waste, we're at a negative $250,576. And utility fund, we're at $139,990. Exhibit G, it's just a comparison of revenue over expenditures from 2022 and 2023. The general fund we touched on, the difference you'll see last year, the 3 pay periods is in July, so that's why it doesn't kind of mirror up. So next month, it'll hopefully even out. Solid waste, we're improving. We're not where we need to be, but with that older equipment, you do see some improvement. And utility fund as well, $350,305, and we're now at $139,990, but with the drought and everything, we were hoping to see that revenue come into play. And that's it for the month of June. If you have any questions?
Council, any questions? Mr. Benta?
Nothing yet, Mayor. No. Good.
Mr. Molina?
I'm good, thank you, Mayor.
Mrs. Bowen?
No, thank you, not at this time.
Mr. Garza?
I was kind of curious. I don't know if you all would be able to do this or if it would take up too much time. On the check report,
Okay.
we've got the check number, the amount, discount, payment day, payment type, vendor name, but we don't have subjects.
It is something that the mayor's touched on, and Sandra brought up something as well. Apologize, Councilman Bowen. And we are working on it, but to be totally honest with you, our system it's not set up to put descriptions. And the way it works is now we're having to tell all our directors, everyone that inputs requisitions, to put in a more thorough description, because some of the items, it'll say, they don't give a specific
Correct.
description. So if I gave it to you as the system would spit out, it wouldn't really give you a lot of information. So we are working on it, and I apologize, it's kind of taken longer than we anticipated, but we're just about there. I would anticipate by the next meeting, it will have a column that'll say description, and it'll tell you exactly. But I don't want to give it to you, because I'm afraid if I give it to you at this point, we're going to be here all night, because we're going to be asking a whole lot of questions when we're going to be like, well, no, it's just a uniform, or it's boots, because the system, like I said, it's not user-friendly at this point, but we're fixing it. So I'm hoping by next meeting, we'll have it, and it'll be thorough, and you'll be able to see it line by line.
That's great. I appreciate that so much. The other part that I had, or the other question, is I've noticed that you've got checks here that are multiple checks. Say like the Jimos County Record or the Charter Communication Holdings. I guess I would go back under subject where it would show why we're giving so many checks to one company. And I mean, like, for example, we've got check numbers.
Like the TIM 1141?
Right, like here on 17-1043, we start there with the charter, and then we've got about 3 more checks right underneath it that are all to the same
The
company.
Charter Communications,
Page 47.
yeah, 47, so.
Oh, wait,
yeah.
mine's different, because I have the, I have the
Two
check
of
sheet.
eight.
I have the
Two
one
of
we're
eight.
working on. 17, if you tell me the check number.
Yes, sir. The check number begins with 17-1044, and then it goes all the way to 45 and 46, where they're all issued on the same day to the same entity. But I guess that's where the subject matter would come in, where it would show that this.
3
Yes.
different
was for
invoices
Well,
for
and,
3 different things.
and-
Yeah,
Yeah, and that also may be the
It could be, and it could be coming out of different departments.
So we have one charter that's the main one for the library that is a very high-speed
Right.
connection that has a lot of grants side to it. And then we have other ones that are from different funds, so that's
Right.
why.
Yeah, it's coming up, there's one for the airport, there's one for the PD, so exactly, as City Manager saying, it's coming out of different funds. So if you're looking at my cheat sheet, what we're trying to produce to you, it would say, it'll say an airport, it'll say for PD, so, yes, sir.
And again, the only reason why I bring up the whole subject of putting the subjects behind the checks is because when you go through here, you find things kind of like Andrews distributing
Right.
tortillas de San Diego,
Right.
Dan's processing, LNF distributing.
Right.
It's like, well, where was this barbecue party
And
that I
that's
missed out?
it's a good point, because those are the exact, because that's a golf course.
Right.
Now that we
See, and
have
I
the
didn't know
restaurant.
that until
And so
recent.
those were the first ones, when I first viewed it, when they brought it to me, I was like, okay, that's gonna raise questions, let's do a better job of golf course inventory or restaurant. So that's exactly what, it's a good point, and that's what we're working towards.
I appreciate you then. Thank you.
It's a
Thank
long time coming, I apologize, but we'll have it.
But we will get it done, and,
We'll get it.
and it does, these systems that we have, and streamlining them and try to produce something from a pretty intense system is not the easy thing to do. But,
No.
and then also training the employees, when they enter something in, to be more specific. We all know what it is because we deal with it.
Right.
But when we're trying to explain it out here, it does need to have something more clear, and then tying it to the requisitions also. So
Right.
there's some work involved.
There is.
And it would be, when you print out what we have, it's not gonna fit on the page either, and we've gotta scale it down, and we wouldn't be able to see it, so there's some work that,
Yeah,
but we will get there.
we'll get it.
Working on it. Good deal.
Thank you, yes, sir.
I just had a couple of them. I was just wondering, 171019,
10119.
171019.
Ruben Moya?
I'll have to look for that one. It's for, that was for
That was
Joe's equipment, that was for,
we bought a trailer and a tractor and bought
Oh,
a used piece of equipment that we really needed, and that's
oh,
who that was, yeah.
okay.
35.
I was gonna
One-
ask about that one.
171027.
the Don Jackson Construction. That's for the airport project. That was for the initial engineering work and doing everything where the airport hangar, remember?
Oh,
the project
okay.
that we were-
That's,
Gotcha.
and that's an NPE fund.
Right, that's NP, so
Okay.
we were reimbursed actually, it
Right
really
away.
was surprising, it was within 10 days.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
So it was,
Okay.
they're really excited about that project.
Normally on that, we're working that project through, we're doing the work, and normally we wouldn't see that because TxDOT would be the ones paying all those out. But because of the speed of the project, that we needed to get it done, TxDOT said, y'all do all the work, we'll reimburse you, and that's why they're really quick about getting the
That's
reimbursement.
good.
We had a meeting with City
Okay.
Manager and myself, and they were very excited.
171058.
That's for materials to repair the elevator.
Oh, okay. And then 171099.
That's for replacement bottoms for dumpsters.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Hold on, I'm asking, that 1058?
171058.
One
Metal Arts. Is
metal, is that the,
it? Yeah,
Metalworks?
the Metal Works. Yeah, I said
no,
it
but
right.
you said 5.8? You went
Was it 5?
prior?
Yeah, 1058.
Oh, you went to the other one. I'm so sorry.
Oh, Arlene Garcia Rasmussen. What's that? Oh,
Those were the
yeah.
elevator parts.
Yeah.
And
We
then,
had-
and the next one was the.
To a
for the-
person, like to an individual? Or- I'm missing something here.
Is that not the vendor?
That's the Oasis elevator.
Yeah, and
It
however,
could be the DBA, yeah.
Got it.
yeah, when we
Are
asked
we
for
sure
the,
on that one?
Yes,
Yes,
sure.
yeah.
It's a person's name, that's why. It's not a
Yeah, it
company
just
name.
kind of looks
Okay.
kind of different. for that amount
I'll
of money.
double check it, but yeah, I mean, I know Odie makes all the requisition for that one, so I know she's familiar with the company.
She brought it up and I looked, I was like, wait a minute.
Well, we haven't.
Ain't Arlene or?
We haven't filled out the tax form.
Yeah, and it's up to them, I mean, how
Right.
they fill
No,
out
it's all,
their
I'm sure it's all
W-9s.
W-9, sure. You got it. Thank you, appreciate it.
171180.
Vulcan is for cold mix,
Cold mix, okay,
200 tons of cold mix.
okay.
Asphalt.
And that's it. I appreciate it. Thank you so
Thank you all.
much.
Thank you, Gabriel. Appreciate it.
Is that what you have? We're still printing?
They're still pretty much.
Okay, so, same thing on the, with the formatting. We have the print, we're gonna give you all a printed budget, but then we'll bind them and put them the way we do with all the tabs. And so we have, and technically, the budget needs to be delivered between, in the month of July, between 7/1 and 7/31, so we have some more time to get it delivered. I like to get it done at the city council meeting, and that's why we were rushing to get it printed, but we have one printed, and they're printing some more, and they may have another couple.
Yeah, yeah,
already
I
done.
think as we.
So by the time we
bring them down,
get
so
it down
it's
here, y'all will have a copy to take, and then we'll replace it with, and we can work off those, from a staff level, and we'll replace it with all the ones with the tabs on there. But the budget is it'll be I guess we can go back to 4.2, right? We're back on 4.2?
Yes.
Okay. We're presenting a no new revenue budget, working off the same property tax dollars as last year. We got the evaluation yesterday, but couldn't really plug that in to see what difference it's gonna make. You guys can decide that as we go through the budget workshops. But we, have to, it's a tough budget, we're having increased expenses in fuel. We've got some, overtime in streets, we're trying to get projects done. And so there's things that, we just had to work through to deliver a no new revenue tax budget, proposed budget to you guys. But it does include a cost of living increase for the employees. But finance and all the departments have worked really hard working on this for months. And so we're at the tail end, and it's a pretty, rock bottom budget. Don't have any capital improvements in there. We'll be talking about there in the budget workshops. But we do, we're gonna deliver it to you guys in this form right now and until we get them, get it all divided up with the tabs and all that. But the same thing, our software, if we were to print out what we can on the budget, it would be very difficult to go through unless you see it all the time like us. And we make it very user-friendly for the public to be able to read and see with function sheets, with the page, portrait, the way we have the pages set up. And that does take some time because we have to extract it and then put it in Excel format and then make it nice and separate it and print out. And so, one thing that we did early on with our agendas, we streamlined that. And that was an easier process on streamlining how we produce agendas for our meetings. The check register is something we're working on. The budget is something we're working on where we want to be able to produce it quicker instead of having to go through all the steps to be able to put it in a format that's easy for everybody to understand. But until then, we're
Yes.
doing it this way, so.
Yeah, I know we've been all over the place, but, so the point that you're making, point of order is that you're not gonna deliver the budget
no.
during the meeting to each individual, but
Right.
you have a budget that you're gonna present today.
We're delivering the budget to the city clerk right now. And before you guys leave, you'll probably get a copy of that also because they're still printing.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I just wanted to.
yeah.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right, so, if council, you're okay with that, you will be getting, your budget or our proposed budget delivered to us today if we stick around for a little bit after, or are
Yeah,
you okay with that?
Yeah.
Y'all
And-
good?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, we can take it one.
No, we're good.
Aye.
We appreciate you.
No,
Yeah.
we're
Well,
joking around.
we can,
All we're doing is
everyone's
copying.
okay
here.
with waiting, yeah.
Yeah,
We're
so,
normally here till 6:30 or 7, so.
so,
good.
Good.
for our purposes, it's presented, so we have it already, so Odie has it. So now it's just making sure before you guys leave that you get a copy of it. So, yeah.
We have nowhere to go. Just get it done. It's your business.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
That's right.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.
And then, so moving on then to agenda item number 8, adjournment.
Mayor, make a motion to adjourn?
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Meeting is adjourned. It is 5:57 PM. Thank you, everyone.